welcome to Scrollin', a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket.
I'm Davius.
This is episode 63. Last week was PTS version 7.2.3, week 4. If you've forgotten, the name of this DLC is The Deadlands. There's basically like 3 things, I think, that happened last week that's worth talking about. 2 of them are for Nightblades. So number 1, Grim Focus is getting adjusted yet again. So if you remember from week 1 of PTS, they changed it so that each stack that you get from Grim Focus gives you 1% damage done, rather than the 2% critical damage and heals that it currently has on live. So that was week 1. Now on week 4, instead of that, it's 60 weapon and spell damage per stack instead of that 1% damage done. The dev comment said they did that basically because they wanted those stacks to still give you somewhat of a healing benefit, whereas that damage done wasn't giving you any of that. So that's, if you have all 5 stacks, that's 300 weapon and spell damage, which seems pretty good. That's like Juliano's Hunting's Rage.
I thought it was interesting that, I don't really play Nightblade. I have a Nightblade, but it's my werewolf, so I don't think I've ever actually used the Nightblade part of that character.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned that you kind of miss the really old version of this skill, and even with these changes, you kind of still miss the original version of it, which I wasn't aware of what it was.
Well, the old version gave you minor berserk while active.
Oh.
So, and it was back when minor berserk was not as common as it is now. But I think this is pretty good, though, when you have all 5 stacks basically having the equivalent of a Juliano's or Hunting's Rage 5-piece bonus until you fire off that proc. Seems pretty good to me.
Okay.
And that's like, I think I did the math. It was like, if you have 5,000 weapon or spell damage, that's like 6% of that.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. You think this is something that, is this a Nightblade skill that's used in PvP, PvE, everything?
Yes, all of the above. Guaranteed. This is their primary burst attack. This is where most of their damage comes from. So it's like their version of like Blast Bones or Sub Assault. So it's you gain these stacks from your light attack weaves while this ability is active, and then you get, after you have 5 stacks, you can activate the ability again to fire this really massive burst attack.
Doesn't it fire it, at least the stamina version, doesn't it like fire it like as an arrow or something like that?
Yeah, both versions basically work the same way.
I recognize the ability by being hit by it.
Yeah, you usually get that and an end cap around the same time, and then an execute of some kind. The other Nightblade change is the Malevolent Offering ability, and this seems like a pretty good change. So Malevolent Offering is like that ability that is a heal over time, but it costs your health. That's the resource that it costs. And right now on live, you can only target other people with it. You can't heal yourself with it. So now it has an upfront magicka cost of 3510, and then a residual health cost of 1080 over 3 seconds, rather than just a health cost over 8 seconds, as it is right now. You can also now target yourself with Malevolent Offering, as well as allies. And then the Shrewd Offering morph will now rank up in cost reduction rather than healing done. Plus they reduced the base cost. And then the residual health cost, they shaved another second off of that. As a reference, on my Magblade, the tooltip, the heals per second is around 2k for 8 seconds. So the devs say this has just been a severely underutilized ability. They wanted to make it less penalizing and more appealing so that hopefully more people will use it. I doubt it makes it onto my bars, but it does seem like at least an option. If you want another healing ability, that's, that health cost is basically 360 per second for 3 seconds. That's really negligible and will be way more than negated by the actual healing that it's giving you,
That's still, it's odd that they still, I guess because that's just what the ability was, but the fact that it still has a health cost, but it's healing you at the same time, it seems weird to me that they left that. Maybe they had to leave that on there to make the numbers match up or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a really good change. I might have to play around with that and see. for another like 2k heals per second seems pretty good. 8-second duration, so that would stack fairly well with like radiating regen or rapid regen, either one. Plus the healing cloak buff that they gave the last recording we made.
Yeah, that's they're getting away from. We've kind of talked about this in several episodes. They're getting kind of away from the, every time you see a Nightblade, they're stealth, gank, and now they're kind of this healing, tankier Nightblade is kind of becoming more and more of a thing. The Brawler Nightblade.
The Brawler Blade, they haven't given up on this concept of the Brawler Blade. And they're out there right now. I mean, any Brawler Blades that I see out there, they're not getting a ton of kills, but they are super duper tanky and difficult to kill.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some tanky ones that can heal up fast, even if you do kind of get a jump on them. And their healing numbers at the end of the match, some Nightblades can do some pretty crazy heals. Yeah,
we've seen some really impressive Magblade healers before. Really not so much lately, but there was a period of time when there was like a couple of like Khajiit Magblade healers that were getting insane, like 2 millions or more, per match.
It shouldn't happen. I was getting offended by that. Getting out healed by Magblades.
Yeah, it seemed like a whole other time, like for BGs. It was like another era.
I can't even remember the meta of that time.
I think that was around like the dizzy swing, back when it still knocked you up in the air, and the dot meta and all that. I think it was around that time. So those are the couple of Nightblade changes, and then Plague Break basically got nerfed, kind of got the Dark Convergence treatment. So now it has a 2-second delay before it starts dealing damage. And then the damage over time ticks every 2 seconds instead of every second. They increase the damage per tick by about 82%. But since it's every 2 seconds instead of every 1 second, that's actually like a 18% damage loss overall. And then if you cleanse it, that explosion is going to deal 52% less damage than it does now as well. But the scaling, like if there's multiple targets that it hits, the scaling is now 50% per target instead of 10%. So that's kind of the Dark Convergence treatment right there.
This change makes so much sense because it, like you said, it really is that Dark Convergence treatment, which I'm a fan of. This one never really, we've talked about this one. This one never really was near as bad as Dark Convergence, but maybe they were seeing with the nerf to Dark Convergence, everybody was switching over to this one. And I'm happy that this is getting that treatment as well. With both this set and Dark Convergence, I think they were implemented with the idea in place to take out massive groups in Imperial City and Cyrodiil. And they were highly, highly taken advantage of in BGs. And it was just, they became just take out single players. You could take out groups easily, sure, but they were so overpowered they'd take out single players. So I'm really happy that they kind of gone back to the drawing board on these, and I think they're still really good at taking out a large groups. If you're going against 10 people at Imperial City or Cyrodiil, I think this is still going to be a really effective set. But I'm happily gonna see these types of sets kind of fade away in BGs.
Yeah, I agree that these changes here, there is a cutoff point. I think it's like 6 players. If you're hitting that many targets or more, then this actually is a buff. Otherwise, it's a nerf, and I think that seems pretty good. And it takes it out of BGs, but makes it still useful in, like we were talking about in Cyrodiil. Think about like a siege when everyone's like breaking down the door. There's 20 players piled on top of each other right there. This set and Dark Convergence both are still going to be super useful in that situation.
It would actually, seeing one of these sets in those situations would be pretty terrifying, because I imagine, and like like you said, a siege where everybody's swarmed on that banner, that's probably just going to be just a wipe across the board.
With all the other visual effects that are going on, you're like waist deep in all sorts of AoE, so you can't tell one thing from another. You can hardly even see your character. Like, you're definitely going to get some kills off of a situation like that if you're using these sets. So I think they still are usable, but they're only usable in those situations, which is the entire point to begin with.
Yeah, these should have never had a place in Battlegrounds, and they took over Battlegrounds. Not so much this one. This one I feel like gets a bad rap just because it's like the stepbrother of Dark Convergence.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, I agree with you there. This particular set, I never really saw it. I think I've seen it on a handful of Death recaps, but I never really felt like this one was a major problem. But anytime a proc set gets nerfed, I'm not going to complain too much.
And like I said, they might have made this change because with the change to Dark Convergence, and if this one would have stayed original, I bet this one would have massively seen an uptick in use, and maybe they just kind of.
And they love their standards too, you know.
Yeah. Stacks and standards.
Stacks and standards. There's the. Hold on, I got to pull up my notepad.
Write it down.
I should start keeping score. I'm pretty sure like 90% of our episode titles are you come up with them.
Just something that blurts out.
It's like almost all you. I've done a handful, but you get those one-liners.
You know,
like a one-liner factory.
All about those one-liners.
That's really. Did you notice anything else from week 4 that was worth talking about? A couple of Nightblade changes and Plague Break.
No, I mean, let's be honest. PTS, they're not throwing a lot at us. You know, it's kind of like you make the joke that they've got this new thing where they get it on that first week. They've got it figured out.
Yeah, I mean. That's good, you know. I think that shows a good sign. I've said before, I think this development team has really matured, and I feel like they do have a good sense of direction. They have a good idea of what they want. There's some missteps here and there, like Dark Convergence, you know, but they recognize the issue. They're gonna do something about it, and I have a lot more faith in this team than maybe I have at times in the past.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I mean, both from kind of when this meta came into place, and it's not great at this moment, but even when this meta started taking place, they already had communication about, they recognized the issues, they're making changes, they're not, you know. So it even from the beginning, we were kind of like, oh, well, we just kind of have to hang out a little bit and they're going to get this fixed. When it came to Dark Convergence, Hrothgar's Chill, and even this Plague Break, they jumped ahead of that before it possibly could have become an issue. So, I 100% have a lot more confidence just that they, even when little slip-ups happen, they're communicating and making changes. And I think Hrothgar's Chill was a live change, which was pretty wild. So,
yeah, that came through a maintenance patch, and. You know, we just haven't been seeing these wild swings that we kind of were complaining about so much in years past, you know, where like one patch they'll buff certain things and then the next patch they'll nerf them like way more than they buffed them for to begin with, you know.
You always got to go back. I mean, obviously we're biased, but you always got to go back to that original Stoons.
Yeah, the old Stoons, or the dot meta is always the one that I think of, you know, when they buffed dots way too much, and then when we all complained about it, they're like, all right, we'll nerf them. They made them weaker than they even were before they were buffed.
They were just gone, disappeared.
And there were a lot of examples, especially around that time, I think, where it's like it just seemed so directionless, and we were just kind of getting whiplash. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. I feel like they kind of have known where they're going for a while now, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
So this week is week 5 of PTS, 7.2.4. Really not a thing.
Oh,
not
boy.
A single thing to talk about.
There was nothing.
We skimmed through it several times, and it's a lot of just minor tweaks, adjustments, fixes. And this is that's the final week. We're in the final week. Probably wouldn't expect anything to change from here. It's been a pretty smooth PTS cycle, really. You know, like you said, they kind of get close in the ballpark on where they want on week 1, and you know, this time it was kind of weeks 2 and 3 and 4. They kind of made some minor adjustments in there, but they were all pretty reasonable, nothing major.
I still think it's funny that this whole PTS has just pretty much been the reset on
Dark Convergence nerf.
And Hrothgar's
This is the Dark Convergence nerf patch is what this is.
The whole PTS really dedicated to nerf and Dark Convergence and Hrothgar's Chill. That one was really bad too. They just jumped on that one quickly. That wasn't on PTS. That was, like we said, live. But
let's go ahead and talk about these the top things we're looking forward to here. So with this being the final week of PTS, the DLC, I think next week is like a dead week where nothing happens at all, and then the week after that it releases on PC. So I thought this will be the last episode we do until it goes live. So we can, I thought we could talk about the things that we're looking forward to the most in this upcoming update 32, aka the Deadlands DLC. Number one, the Dark Convergence nerf.
Dark Convergence nerf. I mean, heck yeah.
That's I think any person playing PvP, at least in Battlegrounds, it's got to be the number one thing that they're looking forward to.
We're going to have our characters back, have our movement back for a little bit. I mean...
Yeah, and just see some different animations for a change.
I'm actually excited about how much change that even this PTS has had, because, we did a couple matches, and you could already tell the players are, like, moving on from it. Like, they know the nerf is coming, so players have already kind of stopped using it. I mean, we did a couple matches, and it's still... unnerfed right now, and I think we saw it once. We saw one player that started using it, but I mean it caught us off guard.
They equipped it mid-match, I think, because we hadn't seen it up to that point. Yeah, totally. I think you're right. I think a lot of people have caught wind that this nerf is coming, so they're just kind of getting out ahead of it. I think a lot of people too have just kind of had their fun and they're just bored of it by now, and they're just trying other things. Because you're right. We did those couple of matches last night. I did a couple more today, and I've seen it a little bit here and there, but not that much. And really, like that, if I encounter it now and then, I don't mind it so much, But when multiple people are using it, it's so intolerable.
At some point, just for fun, we're gonna have to come up with a list of like top 10 most hated sets of all time, like in their heyday.
Number one. That's a great idea, actually, for a topic. You're right. I'm gonna write that down.
We gotta do that sometime. I'm interested
top
to
hated
see
sets of all
where
time.
Dark Convergence would
number one by a landslide. Gotta
so?
Be.
Gosh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it before I set it at one, but it's definitely going to be
scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. What's the PvP set that you've hated the most at any point in the past?
Sets. That'd be a lot of fun coming up with that list. Yeah. Like in their heyday too, not just how they are, but like when they were in their heyday.
Gosh, probably number 1 and 2 would be from that one patch for
Rothgar's Chill. Dark Convergence.
Yep, 1 and 2. Right there.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you another one that might make the list that I've been encountering is that Imperial City set. I think that when you break CC, it automatically fears everyone around you.
That one is getting
and it has a low cooldown. I think it has like a 10-second cooldown, or maybe even less than that. Actually, it might be like a 6 or 7 second. I'd have to look it up. But man, someone was getting me with that like every single time the other day.
We gotta do that list sometime. That'd be a lot of fun.
I wrote it down. Maybe the next episode. That's a good idea. And yeah, we need listener feedback for that one. Top hated sets of all time. scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. I bet like Viper's Sting from like back in the day might be one, because that was like the original proc meta. That was a very.
There's a couple ones that stand out to me. Like I don't think it was like, it wasn't a proc set, so it's not like, I don't know. I don't think it was like cheesy, but I always hated New Moon just because 99% of players had that set in Battlegrounds, so I was just tired of seeing it.
I agree with you that I was just kind of tired of that being the popular set, but I don't really despise. I feel like that set's actually a very, very fair set.
After they nerfed
After
they nerfed it, it's fair.
But it's still, at the end of the day, it was always ever just a stat set. You have to know what to do with those stats.
It's true, but it was very overused. The another good one would be the Gap Closer set.
Oh yeah, Unleash Terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun list. We gotta do that list sometime. That'd be a lot
of
fun.
We'll do it. So Dark Convergence nerf is the thing we're looking forward to the most. The second thing I'm looking forward to the most is the curated set drops. This is going to be a big, big deal. And I think we're going to like take this thing for granted. Like after 2 weeks of having this thing, we're going to forget that it wasn't in the game, It's going to be so nice. I'm going to go ahead and get Burning Spellweave. I don't even know if I want to use it anymore, but I'm going to get that staff anyway,
Yeah,
just so
it's
I
easy
have
to
it.
get now.
May as well. I've been planning to get Medusa, but I don't know. I've been reading some conversations on the forums and stuff, and I think actually with this set hybridization stuff and everything, I think Medusa may no longer be the preferred set for Magicka builds. I think a lot of Magicka builds are going to be switching to Zogvin's Warband, which is typically a stamina set, but I think we just have to get that way of thinking out of our minds now.
Yeah.
Because these Zogvin will be absolutely a set that will give you both Magicka and stamina-based offensive stats. It gives you 2 lines of crit, a line of penetration, and then the 5-piece, when you deal critical damage, you gain a stack of precision, which increases your crit rating by 177 for 5 seconds. And you can have up to 10 stacks, so that's 8% additional crit rate, which is a lot. The other thing, too, is when you have all 10 stacks, you also get that minor force, which is what makes Medusa so enticing, because Medusa, the 5-piece, gives you 892 critical rating and minor force at all times, but that 892 critical comes out to about 4% extra crit rate. And Zogvin, getting those 10 stacks, you just get those stacks from dealing critical damage. So you have a couple of dots running, you're going to get those stacks very, very easily, and then you're going to have them permanently. I'm talking about this for a PvE build, sure, by the way, like boss fights.
But yeah, I mean, going back to this, the curated set drops, this is huge. I mean, I don't know about you. I've actually got like a list of items that I'm like, all right, I'm going to go and farm these up. They're going to be easy to get now. And even like you said, not sure if I'll use them, but just to go ahead and get them because they're going to be easier to get now. And now, once I get
sticker book,
get the sticker book and transmute them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be nice. I mean, we had talked about this, but just pretty much any arena weapon. Go run arenas, because if you're missing one that you don't have, it's guaranteed now.
May as well just get them for the sticker book and then just trash them, or if you want to, and you can always just reconstruct it later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've just been placing these nice little quality of life things patch after patch after patch, and they're all kind of combining together to make this real smooth experience as far as farming for gear, and it really makes the prospect of doing farm runs and stuff like that not seem so daunting, so like I might even actually kind of look forward to it, like, oh, I'm going to farm this dungeon. I haven't done this dungeon in a long time. That might actually be fun, knowing that I'm not going to have to do it infinity times.
Seriously.
Mr. Moon says, I wonder how this will affect dungeon queues after most folks get all their farm wishes. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I wonder if queues might last longer if people are farming less.
I bet it'll be okay. The daily dungeon grind, I feel like, is one of the major, and the Undaunted. Those kind of get the dungeon queues going.
I think you're right. I think that dungeon queue is always going to have people in it. I think most players are PvE people, and yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
I do think you make a great point, though, that it's kind of funny to think about that. You're probably right. I bet a month from now, we'll kind of just take this for granted and just think it was just in place since the beginning. It's funny to look back on certain things and think like that. I mean,
that's how I am with transmuting. I just take it for granted now. Jewelry crafting, too.
Jewelry crafting is the big one for me. It's like I remember when there was no jewelry crafting, but it's like I can't actually remember specifically playing where.
And do you remember before jewelry crafting, do you remember arcane, healthy, and robust were the only jewelry traits?
Yeah, that was all you had. And you had to choose, it was like, well, I've got to have this set so I can get the jewelry pieces. Mm-hmm. It's like, that totally changed the game when it came to crafting and how you piece your sets together.
Next thing I'm looking forward to this next patch is just my Magic and Necromancer, like I talked about on the last episode. I'm looking forward to that debuff support build. I think that's going to be really fun.
Just anything that any characters that use the charge trait.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that new Kin Marcher set too, like I talked about last time. I think that's just going to be perfect.
That's going to make your Despair build, your macro build, really in good shape.
Yeah. Looking forward to playing with melee characters again in Battlegrounds. That's going to be nice.
Don't have to have ranged. Yep, that's going to be great.
With the Dark Convergence nerfs and I guess Plague Break as well. I think it's going to feel a little bit better to get in there in close range, or a lot of it better, actually. I'm hoping to see some players returning as well. Once the meta is maybe hopefully fixed, we'll see some of those familiar names that we have stopped seeing lately. I mean, I'm telling you, we played last night, Davius. I played a little bit more today. I have not seen a lot of those names that you always see. They're still not around. It's sad.
I do think there's real potential for it, though, because like we said, I think the meta is going to be, I might sound like a fool on next episode when the proc crits are driving everybody insane. But for the most part, it seems like the meta is going to be in good shape, and we're going to have deathmatch queues going at the same time. So it seems like it's really shaping up to be a good time for Battlegrounds. So
I'm wary of the crit on proc sets, but I'm willing to give it a chance and we can see.
They're keeping their eye on it, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that I take a lot of solace in that.
They got their eye on it.
And then the last thing on my list of things I'm looking forward to, the actual DLC content.
The actual new content. What is
I really
that,
am looking forward to
7 on
it.
your list?
Yeah, I really am looking forward to it. I always look forward to the Q4 DLC and exploring that new zone and stuff. Like we said before, they always seem to do really well in that department in Q4. So it will be fun.
I'm interested to see how much this new zone is populated like down the road. Just because, you talk about Southern Elsewhere is always your favorite, and I do. That's a great zone just because it's great to run around. It's designed very well. Even Northern Elsewhere it's a really cool zone to go back. The landscaping's really cool. I'm interested to see how this one is like several expansions down the road, because and I haven't seen it. I haven't looked at it. I haven't logged on to PTS to look at it, but it seems like the whole design is to make this place uncomfortable. So is this going to be like a place that people go back and hang out in, or is this just going to be just a ghost town down the road? I'm interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like once I have completed the zone and done everything, I doubt this is one that I'm just going to go chill out in, just to pass the time.
Yeah.
Because I logged in to the PTS and ran around in this zone, and it's, it's dark and scary and, not... It's cool. It's neat, but it's not pretty and it's not like inviting and, compared to like, say like Somerset with like all this cool music and bright and colorful and it like wants you to be there. Yeah, I think you're kind of right. I think after some time has passed, I think this might be one that not a ton of people hang out in just because that environment just doesn't seem super inviting. I did want to talk a little bit about, though, those wandering executioner bosses. I did encounter one of those, and that was pretty interesting. So they have like a set path that they're just always roaming around on, and you can encounter them at any point on that path and fight them anywhere. So it's not... I think I said before I was expecting it to be kind of like how the dragons work, but it's not like that. The dragons have designated spots where they drop, but these dudes, it can be anywhere along their path, which is around the entire zone. Not soloable, at least not by me. So they look cool.
That's actually, I do like that idea because it really kind of brings back, I'm going way back here. This is like the nostalgia episode here. I'm going way back before One Tamriel, but one of the things that was real cool before One Tamriel, and I started around One Tamriel, so it was very brief, but I've always heard you say stories about it, of that sense that was kind of lost where you'd run through a zone that was higher level than you, and you have kind of that fear of as you're running around the zone, it was kind of dangerous. Yes. And I feel like that these executioners might bring that back a little bit for this zone, where if you're just running around by yourself and you run into one of these guys and there's nobody there to help you, there's going to be kind of a danger to kind of running around this zone. That's kind of neat. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, it's like a whole other level. Like you might even be at a point where like you've soloed some world bosses, you're a tough guy, and then you encounter one of these dudes and it's, you're not quite there yet. I
am looking forward to the new I'm gonna call it dressing room because I can't remember the name of it, but
Oh yeah, the armory system.
I'm actually looking forward to the armory system. And as we mentioned, I'm looking forward to a little bit more than you are, but I'm actually pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about it, but it's cool that it's being added. I'm happy for the people that will be benefiting from it.
Well, and with it getting into the game, it might get to a point where you do use it. Now that it's in the game, they might expand on it. So
yeah, they could tweak it for sure. It could happen. I want to hear about. So you've been kind of teasing me with some.
I got some stuff.
So apparently you have some character overhauls that you've been doing that I have no idea about. So lay it on me, man. What's been going on?
This has been, this has been tricky not telling you, because usually when we make a change, we'll tell each other like that day. But I knew this would be good. We got to capture this live here.
Got to get a genuine reaction. Now the pressure's on.
And the scrolling genuine reaction.
I'm going to start practicing my genuine reaction. Hold on.
So I've got 2 characters completely 100% overhauled. New names, changed the builds.
You've changed names?
Changed names, changed builds, changed the look, everything.
Wow.
I mean, it's a full overhaul. So I'll mention the 2 characters that I got rid of. It was the Bear Clan is no more. Broke them up.
There is no Bear Clan?
There's no Bear Clan. Now, Bear Claw, of course, I still have Bear Claw. He's the true bear. He's the true bear dude right there.
Okay. I think I can live with that as long as Bear Claw is still around.
Yeah, Bear Claw, he's perfect. Always loved him. I used to have a Stamina Necromancer, Bear Skull the Nord, and then my Stam Sork was Bear Tooth the Nord.
Okay.
New names for both of them. So I'm going to talk about my Necromancer first. I'm actually more excited about my Stam Sork, but I'm going to talk about the Necromancer first. Build up there. So my Stam Necro, as you know, has been on the shelf for quite some time.
Yeah, he's just been collecting dust.
Yeah, and he really, I had a build on him, but it was basically just Lord of Nords 2.0, and I enjoyed Lord of Nords more, so I just never played with him.
Yeah.
So, this is based on your recommendation. I was kind of talking to you, and your Stam Crow, you have a bow build on him, and you've really liked it, and it's worked really well, and we kind of joked that I don't have a ranged build, and so that'd be a great character to go with. So I went full Davius on this build here. My new Stamina Necromancer, his new name is Chief of Grief.
Okay, perfect. That's
Chief
a great
of
name.
Grief.
Uh-huh.
The build is 5-piece Defiler, 5-piece Unfathomable Darkness, 2-piece Maw the Infernal, and then a Vatashran 2-hand on the back bar. So that's 3 summon sets right there. So we got 3 sets that are summoning. I'm using the Skeleton Archer. I have Blast Bones and Intensive Mender. So it's all, it's a full Davius build here. It is summoning all of the things.
It's kind of like you did something similar to that with Bear Claw before, where you're just getting as many things running around as you can.
That's the whole point of this thing. Is just get as many things up. But the Necromancer was nice because they kind of already have that in their skill set. Now, I will say, I've put the build together and I have it on. I haven't done a whole lot of testing yet, so I might swap Defiler out for Bone Pirate. I know you might be in favor of that. You love Bone Pirate right now. Mm-hmm. It really makes the stats look really good.
Once you put it on, it's hard to take it off.
Exactly. But the fact that Defiler's just one more thing popping up and getting in the way. I haven't decided on Defiler or Bone Pirate, but I do. I have run around and just kind of tested the build, and it is pretty awesome because it really is just like a tornado of all of this stuff just popping up everywhere. And it's a bow build. He's at range, and he's got the speed that a bow build has. He's in all medium armor, so it's pretty neat to see him run around. And
Bokro is fun. I really like Bokro. Yeah. I've talked about mine quite a bit.
Like I said, Defiler or Bone Pirate. With Defiler, he's got 25k stamina, which is pretty low. Bone Pirate jumps that up to 30k, which is a pretty nice place to be.
Are you using Dubious in both cases?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the recovery with Defiler is 1700, and where Bone Pirate jumps that up to over 2,000. So
Mm-hmm.
you're right. That Bone Pirate, when you throw it on a build, it sure makes those stats look
Well,
good.
especially in a build like that where you're in medium armor, it's a bow build, like speed is the thing, and you tend, or I at least tend to use a lot of stamina on builds like that, and Bone Pirate's just really nice for that reason.
Yeah. Now, I will say, because I do have that Necro armor buff that makes those summons, your Blast Bones, that like really takes a lot of the cost away. And on this one, I'm using every one of those Necromancer summons, Skeleton Archer, Blast Bones, Intensive Mender. So that
Plus,
does help.
if you wait until they die to resummon them, I think the cost is like cut in half, isn't it?
Yeah. And so the cost on those is actually not bad. But the other thing, like I said, the other thing about Bone Pirate is just getting your stamina up that high. It really kind of just makes everything hit a little bit harder. So,
yeah.
I like the idea of Defiler. I'm sure after some testing, Bone Pirate will probably be the one to stick. It's still a whole lot of stuff, even with Bone Pirate on there. So, Chief of Grief, I'm pretty happy about that one.
Nice. What's the other overhaul?
Now, the other overhaul,
you already said it was your Stamsorc.
It's the Stamsorc. Now,
Beartooth,
this one
no longer.
No longer Beartooth, the Nord. This one is exciting just because I like this name even better than Chief of Grief, and I'm pretty excited about Chief of Grief. But I like the new name. It also goes perfectly with your Stamina Sorc, so we really can get a duo Stamsorc thing going here. Okay. It's going to be pretty good. So my Stamsorc new name, Thane of Pain.
Thane of Pain.
Thane of Pain.
And Thane is like a Nord thing, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
It's kind of like Thane is kind of like a really, this is a really bad translation, but basically like a king, a leader, a chief. So Thane of Pain.
Thane of Pain. And for listeners, a reminder, my Stamsorc's name is Tane, spelled like Wayne, but with the T. It's from the Tim and Eric sketch. So yeah, that's great.
So
that's
we have Thane of Pain and Tane.
Thane of Pain and Tane.
Thane of Pain and Tane. I mean, come on.
That's another title possibility. Hold on.
I mean, that's just pretty great right there.
Thane of Pain.
Oh.
Apostrophe N Tane.
So I'm pretty excited about that one. This one has been on the shelf a while now as well. So I'm excited to dust it off. Stamsorc's always great.
Yeah.
I've left. It's still a Torque Sorc, and I'm still rocking Briarheart. So you can exhale. That's nice. But the big change that I've gone with is that I'm doing Sword Dancer now. That's the 600 buff to dual wield set.
That's my Stamsorc build.
Is that really? Is this your exact Sorc build? I am doing the Vatishran two-hander on the back bar.
No, I do a Master Bow.
Okay.
On the back bar.
The Vatishran two-hander on the back bar is becoming like my Maelstrom Resto for mag characters. Like I'm just throwing it.
It works really well.
Yeah, it's just a great thing to have. I'm testing this out, and like I said, this character's not tested yet either, but I'm testing it out where Whirlwind is actually my spammable.
Oh, okay.
So
not using Rapid Strikes?
Not using Rapid Strikes, just testing out as Whirlwind as my spammable. I like the idea of just kind of streaking in and just spinning a whole bunch, kind of streaking out and just kind of hitting everybody. We'll see if that sticks.
If you got a Dawnbreaker ready, I think that'll.
I do use
that often
Dawnbreaker.
Works. Yeah,
I do use Dawnbreaker. So I'm thinking he'll just kind of streak around, hit a whole bunch of people. He's got the quick cloak, plus streak, so he's super fast. He's in all medium. So I'm pretty excited. This is the one I'm really excited to test out, obviously, because Stamina Sorcerer is a lot of fun. And especially, when we roll up a duo Stamsorc, it's always fun. But
yeah,
I'm going to test out the Whirlwind to see if that works as a spammable. I'm actually not even sure which morph I want to use yet, because one of the Whirlwind morphs is kind of designed to be a spammable. But
like an AoE spammable, yeah.
Yeah, but my thing with it is it increases the range. I think it goes from 6 meters to 9 meters, which is nice. And it takes the cost down a little bit, but really not that much. But it doesn't up the damage or anything, and then there's no real extra ability other than the 3 meters. And the other morph, which makes it an execute, is just that's such a
strong
huge
execute.
Yeah, it's such a huge bonus that I feel like that the spammable version doesn't really make up for that with the 3 meter range. So I'm gonna try the actual execute as the spammable. We'll see if it sticks.
The Steel Tornado morph used to have that execute damage back in the day. Back when the spin to win phrase was coined.
Yeah.
That morph had the execute damage with that
with the
added range. Yeah.
That's probably too good. I just wish that it could take the execute damage away, but maybe bump the ability damage up or something. I just feel like that I can't pick that Steel Tornado. That 3 meters range is just not near as good as it dealing the same damage with no execute. But I'm going to try that out. It's a little pricey, but I just think that would be really fun. There's just old Thane of Pain's just going to run around spinning and going nuts on people.
That's a good combo. Briarheart with Sword Dancer. I like that on mine a lot, which I use the Rapid Strikes spammable and then just Whirling Blades for my execute. It works pretty good.
Well, and the Rapid Strikes works out for you too because you have the Master Bow, whereas me with the Vatistran two-hander on the back bar, it's kind of more AoE focused.
Yeah. A lot of Stamps Works these days are using that crystal weapon for their spammable, but I haven't switched over to that. I still really like Rapid Strikes. It deals a ton of damage with that gear setup.
I actually I tried that new ability and it was okay. I'm not crazy about it, but that was just kind of me. I think it's really good. It's just not really my style on a spammable.
It's good. I see it on death recaps all the time, but I just kind of I like my Stamps Work. He's been locked in a long time, and I just kind of like him how he is.
I got mine ready now. The Torque Sorks can go back at it.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Tane and Thane and Pain.
We've gone on at length before about how the Torque of Tonal Constancy just belongs on a Stamps Work. It's just like you have to put it on your Stamps Work.
Yeah. Now that is one unique thing too, is that with the Vatistran two-hander, I'm actually using Rally for my damage buff instead of the built-in Sork one.
Oh, instead of Critical Surge.
Yep. But I mean, on the Torque Sork, it's pretty much a wash. They both are good heals, and so they're both Rally and Critical Surge, both good heals, different way of healing. But one costs Stamina, one costs Magicka. With Dark Deal and the Torque, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's all a wash.
Quite a few Stamps Works forego Critical Surge. I know that's kind of an optional ability. For my Stamps Work, I think it's not optional. I feel like I have to have it, but I think you're not like super unusual there for not using it.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's cool, man.
That's the two.
I think I'm more surprised about you changing the names than anything else.
That's what threw you off.
That's the big surprise. The builds sound cool. They sound like they definitely are Davius builds, 100%.
The Stamps Work's a pretty standard build. The old Chief of Grief's just a total Davius build. That thing could go into Battlegrounds and do horrible. It's just going to be, if anything, it's just going to be people going, "What the heck am I looking at?"
Well, it's kind of like back when you had Bear Claw set up a similar way. We made the comment that it's kind of a form of support, like just kind of creating that chaos and making it difficult for enemies to just know what's going on.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. It makes the team look a lot bigger than it actually is, that's for sure.
That'd be cool. Maybe after we're done recording, we can... You already have that build put together and everything?
I've already got both of them put together, ready to go.
Maybe after we're done recording, I might want to see that dude in action.
I'm equally excited just to show you the new looks of it. If I could only show pictures in the podcast, that would be... Maybe I'll throw some pictures in the Discord or something.
Yeah, there you go. Well, like I said, I've hardly been playing at all. I've been kind of focused on another video game, Far Cry 6, which is really good, but I've been playing a little bit here and there. The main character that I'm kind of focused in on right now is my Magcrow Despair, which I can't really even do anything until the next patch hits, but I've just been kind of playing with her and messing around with her just to kind of get ready. So the plan is to use 5 pieces Heartland Conqueror, 5 peaches.
5 peaches?
5 pieces of that new Kin Marcher set with a charged Frost Staff on the front bar, a Maelstrom Resto on the back bar, and I guess probably 2 pieces Earthgore monster set. I can't really think of a mythic item or another monster set that would be better than it. I feel like Earthgore is kind of a boring choice, so I don't want to use it, but at the same time, it seems like the most practical choice as far as all the other options out there.
Yeah, it depends on if you want to go support or selfish. If you want to go selfish, that mythic helmet would be. I mean, that thing does beautiful stuff for stats.
I've considered that, but I don't know. I think I will end up relying on block quite a bit on this character. I have that Frost Staff.
That's true.
And like, I don't know. I feel like I need that extra layer of healing there as well. So that's probably the plan, unless I can think of something that's kind of more interesting than Earthgore. But Earthgore is always good. It's certainly a great set. And like I said, that extra layer of kind of emergency healing, and it has a pretty decent cooldown. You know, it's a good set. It's totally good.
Yeah. Is that, sorry, going back to Kin Marcher, is that remind me again, is that an Overland set, or is that?
Yeah, I think it's an Overland heavy set, so
Okay.
It should be pretty easy to get a hold of. Probably after like a week or so, I'll be able to buy it at Guild Traders, and I'm kind of expecting it to be fairly cheap. It doesn't seem like something a ton of people are going to be rushing to use, you know?
I'm just to send you all my pieces. I can't wait till you get this build together. It's going to be... I just want to see it in action. Just see all of it just happening.
PCNA at Cat Sparrowhawk. Send me all your Kin Marcher
Send
pieces.
all your Kin Marcher.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, it's not a set that gives like, it's not a damage set or anything like that. I feel like that's always the ones that people are kind of rushing to get and are willing to pay a lot of money for. This seems like one I'm expecting it to be kind of cheap. And even so, even if I have to farm it with this new set curation thing, it's going to be a breeze.
Yeah, it'll be easy.
And then right before we started recording, I just wanted to do a few more BGs just to kind of get in the mindset. And the character that I was just kind of, my instincts told me to log in with was Sally, Bad Sally, my stamina Dragon Knight.
Oh, Bad Sally herself.
Yeah, nothing's changed with her. Still Bone Pirate, 2 pieces Bloodspawn, 2 Trainee, Malakath, the Maelstrom 2-hander, and the Master's dual wield. I think this is one of those builds, kind of like Betsy has been for a really long time. I think this build is just going to be like locked in for a really long time. Unless something major changes, I feel like this is just it. It lacks for nothing. This is still, I've said this about this character before, and it's still true. This is still my #1 whisper generator. I haven't played in weeks, and I log in with this character today, play a couple of BGs, and I'm getting whispers from people. Pleasant whispers. People just asking me what the build is and saying GG and stuff. And I always love telling people what the build is because I feel like Bone Pirate and Bloodspawn is such a just kind of, I don't know, grandpa's PvP build, you know.
Had this on for years.
Yeah. But it just works perfectly. And you've kind of explained about your Stam DK, and mine and yours have this in common, that they're surprisingly survivable with the combination of that dual wield quick cloak ability plus the flappy wings, the one that gives you snare immunity. It's just such a perfect combo, and it really kind of rounds out your defensiveness because that quick cloak, not only does it give you your major expedition, but it also gives you major evasion. We've talked a lot about the importance of that. And then the flappy wings, it's giving you 50% damage reduction against projectiles, which I really have no other answer to ranged attacks, and that's actually fairly strong. Plus, it gives you that snare immunity, you know, along with the speed that you get from Quick Cloak. It's just a beautiful combo. They work together really, really nicely. I would love to see the flappy wings buffed. I wish they would do, you know, you look at that ability compared to the Warden's Shimmering Shield, and you reminisce about the days when you actually had to reflect on your wings, you know.
Don't even tease me about that. Just I would forget the reflect. Give me that heroism. Give me that major heroism on a DK. Oh man.
Oh, if it had the major heroism, or even just like 100% projectile absorption rather than the 50% reduction. I would love it if I could just negate 4 projectiles or something like that per cast or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be great. But as it is, the version that it is right now is what we have, and it works well for what it is, especially combined with Quick Cloak. Yeah, like I said, this build is going to be locked in for a really long time. I hadn't played with weeks. I haven't played in weeks. I logged in and played a couple of matches back to back. They both were super fun, super successful matches right away.
How many kills you get? How many kills little Sally get?
I don't think it was like astronomical. I think the best one I did was maybe like 14-3, something like that. It was pretty good. That's the StamDK. That's really, like I said, I haven't been playing a lot. That's really all I have going on right now until this new patch drops.
We gotta take advantage of this deathmatch queue while we've got it. Once they clean this meta up a little bit.
I'm excited. I really am looking forward to this DLC dropping. I should be wrapping up with Far Cry right about that time, and then I'm just going to be like, all right, let's play some BGs. Now there's no more Dark Convergence. Let's get in there and do it. I think it's going to be a good time.
I think it's funny, even on the BGs that we did last night, we'll hop in and it'll say deathmatch, and it's like, oh, yes, deathmatch. Oh, wait a minute.
We've been so trained. It does happen to me. Yeah, when that queue pops, like you just instinctively, oh, what mode did I get? Oh, cool, deathmatch. Oh, yeah. Right, it's always deathmatch now. It happens every single time. I still haven't been like untrained from that.
The adrenaline shot when you see it, you're like, oh, yes. Oh, wait, man, yeah. It's automatic.
Yeah. It's nice. I do hope that the objective modes come back, but rest assured, there's no way we're not going to have a deathmatch option going forward. But I think we need those objective modes to come back as well, just so everybody can kind of have what they want.
Yeah, I think down the road, and I'll be honest, it's going to take a long, 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 long time. But down the road, at some point, I'll probably miss those objectives. Just to do every now and then, just to kind of goof around. But
I remember back when there was just one queue, and you could do random or you could pick your specific mode. We always did deathmatch, but then once in a while, we would queue it for a random, and it was fun because it did change things up, you know. But then we'd have our fun, go back to deathmatch, and I enjoy it like that.
For sure.
Like I said, this is going to end up being a fairly short episode, but it's quality over quantity here on the Scrollin' Podcast. Emails and shoutouts. We have no emails this week, but if you'd like to email us, you can email us at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Ask us any questions you like, make a suggestion for the show, tell us a joke, say hello, whatever you want, scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Special shout out to Mr. Moon for hanging out during the recording here. I think he's on a 2 or 3 episode streak, something like that. So
got a streak going.
Thanks, Mr. Moon, for being here for moral support and making us feel like we're talking to someone besides ourselves. We have a guild that is the best named guild on PCNA. It's called Stoons Goons. If you'd like to be a member, shoot us an email at scrollinpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can hit us up in-game. I am at Kit Sparrowhawk. Davius is at Starjumper. And we'll get you into the best named guild on PCNA.
I was thinking about this. I was listening back to this, and you're getting, you're being positive, so I can't knock it, but it's so specific. And you're like the best named, it's getting a little.
I don't know what other claims I can make. I don't.
Best named guild, future to be just best guild. We're gonna drop that named part.
I don't want to make any claims like that.
We're gonna farm. Everybody's gonna be farming Kinmarcher. There's gonna be Stoons all over the place farming up Kinmarchers.
At this point, in my mind, the purpose of the guild is to give me an excuse to say the words Stoons Goons once every 2 weeks. I just need to be able to say it, and I need an excuse to do it.
And of course, everybody's wearing their Stoons sets.
Now, I guess I should plug this from time to time. If anyone wants to take the reins on Stoons Goons and start making it a real guild, hey, we're accepting applications.
Get some runs, some theme nights, for sure.
Organize some events, send emails out to people. I'll give you full rights to do whatever you want there. Well, within reason.
I did say that, I threw it out there one day. We should do the character look, the contest for the best looking character.
Davius wants to have a contest that he will clearly win because he has awesome fashion skills.
Make it sound like I've got like some sort of insider trading going.
Yeah, that would be cool. Some PvP events. I mean, here's the thing. If we had like someone else running the guild and like scheduling these events, I would probably participate. I just don't want like the pressure of having to like do it myself.
Yeah. We just need to probably, in all seriousness, we need to just set up where we just pick certain people to run one part event. Like, somebody can run dungeon run, somebody can run a PvP night, or somebody can run contests.
Yeah.
That's where we got to get to. We'll get there someday. Someday. That's the goal.
One of these days we'll take
episode
this thing
2340. You're going to say Stoon Scoon's best guild.
Wow. That's a lot of episodes, man. You have a lot of faith in the Scrolling Podcast's future. All right. I think that's about all we have to talk about here. Anything else before we go?
I think that's it.
All right. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you then.